News Weekly.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Batman News Weekly. This is episode 137 in year 3, and CinemaCon has just happened, and we have gotten some news from that. Not a lot, but we have some news. Starting off with the, what's the saying? It's not best kept secret, the worst kept secret.
Yeah.
Batman 2 is happening, ladies and gentlemen, with Robert Pattinson. Why it wouldn't happen if there wasn't a Robert Pattinson in it?
And then people are like, oh, well, they didn't specify if Matt Reeves was going to come back. Matt Reeves is definitely going to come back. That's the whole thing. That was his whole, criteria of even jumping on to this thing was that he was going to have a trilogy. So it really isn't news.
Yeah.
But what's the saying? It's like you said, inevitable, really.
Yeah.
It was something that we had heard before. It was kind of like, I told people about this news. I was like, it's not exciting because we already knew about it. Oh my gosh, they made $750 million. Of course there's going to be a sequel,
Yeah. I'm going to be very curious, man. This is going to be the one time that I think maybe a sequel could surpass the original, just because we were still kind of getting out of COVID. We still have COVID symptoms, things going around.
Yeah.
But we still aren't, I think, 100% back to normal, obviously. So
yeah.
I wonder if the sequel would be better or if it's going to be worse, because there's people like us that don't really care.
Well, and I have told people that just because I don't like the first movie doesn't mean that I can't like the second.
Yeah, true.
So we can go into this movie kind of thinking the same way. We thought about the Batman the same way that we thought the Joker.
Yeah.
We'll see how it is. Won't be super surprised. And then boom, we weren't super surprised.
Yeah.
Unlike the Joker, where we were like, oh shit, that was actually a really good movie. So I think, and there is a question that Kid Stu asked regarding Batman 2. And we'll get to that when we get to listener questions. So I don't want to answer it here. But, I think there is room for us to possibly like the sequel.
Yeah. I will say I have doubts about liking it. And then that's just the honest truth. That's I could like Thor 4, but am I going to like Thor 4? I'm probably not going to like Thor 4.
Oh, no, I've said that too. I'm like, I hated Ragnarok. I think it was very, very stupid. It was very jokey. And the direction that they've moved Thor in for the Marvel movies, I haven't liked. But I'm really excited to see Mighty Thor. I'm really excited to see Natalie Portman go onto that role. So I'm excited for that. But I'm afraid that I want to put my expectations really low. So that way when I see Thor Ragnarok 2, I'm like, okay, yeah. I kind of saw this coming.
Yeah, I don't know. I won't be watching it. I'll probably see how cool Natalie Portman looks and be like, maybe. But dude, I've seen some of the scenes from Spider-Man, like the ones that have hit the internet and stuff, and I'm just like, I think I might have cringed at this film a lot.
It was heavily CGI.
I don't know if you so bad.
Well, I don't know if I don't know if you knew this, but what's his name that played Sandman? The actor wasn't there at all.
Oh, really?
He was 100% CGI. And
wow.
Yeah. And even in small spoilers here, because the entire movie he is in sand form, but humanized, and then they use a cure on him at the very end, and you see his real face, and you're like, oh shit, he did go into the studio. And then later you find out, oh no, they literally just clipped his body from Spider-Man 3 and inserted it into this movie.
Wow. Does he get paid for that?
Yeah. Because
it's gotta be really cheap though, right?
He recorded new lines.
Oh, okay.
So he did voice work.
Yeah.
But he was not physically there for the entire movie.
Dude, I hate that Marvel relies so heavily on CGI. It's so bad. It's gotten terrible. But just from the trailers, everything looks awful. So I
Yeah,
don't know.
and thankfully, we were talking about it with this whole Moon Knight thing.
Hmm.
The last few episodes have like dialed it back
Hmm.
on like the crazy, like really bad CGI, and
Yeah.
it's actually looked better. So I
Yeah.
have a little bit of hope for it.
But see, what worries me is I've said that I won't care about the MCU again until X-Men show up, and the X-Men got some crazy ass powers. So
Yeah.
I'm really worried. Like, dude, what if they make Wolverine look like shit?
Well, no, I always think about if you type in YouTube right now
Hmm.
and go X-Men Origins bathroom scene,
Yeah.
those claws look animated. Like they
Yeah.
look like cartoons coming out, like cartoon claws coming out of a human hand. It is bad.
Yeah, see, I'm worried about it, man. I'm worried about them doing because like I'm worried about if they get like Gambit and like Storm and stuff. Like I'm just worried about that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyways, another thing that came out of CinemaCon was we got a detailed. I don't want to say super detailed, but we got a description of the Flash trailer, and it had some interesting information in it. Of course, it had some Flash type things in it, like oh, he's talking to his mom, all that kind of jazz. But the more interesting stuff was about Batman, aka
Yeah.
Mike Keaton. And first of all, and I'm going to chalk this up to just journalism not knowing the difference between Bruce Wayne and Batman because I'm hoping Batman doesn't do this, but it's quoted that we have in the trailer that Batman says, "You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts." And I'm like, "Please don't do that in the bat suit." Like I really hope it's Bruce Wayne that says that and not freaking Batman, you know?
Yeah.
Because I feel like if he were to say that in the bat suit, I feel like it would be that Batman meme, you know, where it's this stupid face in the back count. He's like, "Meh," you know what I mean? Like it's just that dumb face meme. I feel like that would just be what that would feel like.
Yeah.
But the other thing is I believe they said that he's going to be CGI'd to be younger.
Yes. So I do think there is going to be a lot of flashbacks here in
Yeah.
order to talk about his past too, because I heard a podcast talk about this this week
Hmm.
in regards to this news, um saying like, will people want to go all the way back and watch Batman 89 and Returns in
Yeah.
preparation for this movie? And
Hmm.
we had a small conversation about this. Are there enough people that are invested in their childhood Batman, Keaton,
Yeah.
to like hype this movie up for the people who aren't invested in Keaton, right? Because I
Hmm.
think there's like a whole generation or a few generations of Batman fans that probably have never seen Keaton movies.
Yeah, we have the Ponderer who has not seen those movies.
Yeah,
So, Um I think so. I mean, how many people are going to go back and watch X-Men right now because of the multiverse movie, you know? To just
that's also
go
true. Yeah,
to go see that little cameo. So yeah, I don't know. I think there's definitely enough people and I feel like people still know of that Batman even though it was what 30 years ago.
yeah,
So, yeah, I don't know. I don't I think WB would hype it up enough, and you'll probably see it like at the front of HBO Max, like for the banners and stuff like that. Like, oh, check out Batman '89, blah 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 blah. They've already been doing the comics and stuff, so younger viewers probably see those at comic shops, anyways. Um, but yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure there will be enough people. But I think at the same time, everybody knows that iconic Batmobile. Like, even if you haven't seen that movie, you know that Batmobile.
oh yeah. But
So
I think that the flashbacks will be for those who aren't really invested, and just to be like, hey, this is where this character comes from. You
yeah,
know,
yeah. And it's going to be interesting because again, this doesn't come out until next year in what June?
June. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is
So,
apparently the anniversary of Batman 89.
of course it is.
Yeah.
But
I
it
saw I saw a meme today and it said the Flash has a new logo and it had Keaton's Batman
Yeah, I saw that
logo.
too. Somebody posted that in Discord, I think. But here's the thing. So that was, I think, essentially everything that was important from that CinemaCon description, right?
Yeah.
And I don't think it confirmed what we already saw, where Ezra Miller's like, "So are you in?" And then of course Batman, of course he's in, or we wouldn't be watching the movie. Um, but the question that we have been asking since this delay got made is, when is Batgirl going to come out now? Because Keaton is in that apparently heavily, or at least a cameo. I mean, it looked like he was fighting, so I'm assuming he's going to be in it for a good amount of time. But what we found out before CinemaCon happened was that they are now considering Batgirl for a theatrical release, which I will say, we were kind of talking about this on the podcast. I kind of want to see this in theaters now because it looks awesome.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know what your thoughts are on that. How do you feel? How do you think it's going to come out before Flash?
I I don't think it will. Um because I had a conversation about this on DC Alliance. A lot of movies don't do this anymore because of course everybody has been a stickler for the timeline of continuity and how
Mm,
things work, and you aren't really supposed to watch a movie that is of course like the next movie in line but it's before it, you know.
yeah.
So I think for me, whenever it comes to like reading comics and watching movies back in the day, like reading a comic and then like reading 2 or 3 months down the line and we find out, oh shit, this was a prequel book to the book that we read like 3 months ago.
Yeah.
Holy shit, like those revelations are like really really cool to me sometimes, and
Hmm.
if you play it off well enough it can work really really well.
Yeah.
So I think Batgirl can be released before the Flash, but does it quote unquote ruin the surprise of Michael Keaton's placement in the DCEU?
Yeah, I think you would need to save it for the Flash because that's the first teaser we got of him,
Yeah.
But could you just, I mean, it all depends on how it's filmed, right? Because you can drop that Batgirl trailer and have like, I'm Batman. You know what I mean? Show up in it and you're just like, oh shit. Like that's pretty dope, you know?
And again, I also said this. I think that there's a lot of people who don't care about the continuity of things and
Especially in DC right now.
just love Michael Keaton's Batman. I'm not a
Oh
big
yeah.
fan of Michael Keaton's Batman. They will just see Michael Keaton's Batman and be like, "Hey, look, it's Batman," and just enjoy the popcorn flick that is whatever Batgirl or the Flash will be.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's something that we have to consider also. And that may be what WB is banking on. Is just like, hey, doesn't matter, in the array of all things, people will probably be wondering why this is coming out before this or whatever, but they're just banking on people just throwing their money at them for Michael Keaton's Batman.
Yeah, I mean the thing is Keaton has kept his Batman persona alive this whole time.
Yeah.
Like he spoke at that college and he's like, I got one thing to tell you that you can always remember. I'm Batman. Like that
I
was
think
fucking iconic, dude.
I would give Keaton the same kind of notoriety of being Batman in the same way that like Stan Lee was known to be like the Marvel guy. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
I think that because if you look at the history of Stan Lee, he basically just like he didn't strong arm his way there, but he
Mhm.
was the only person really being the voice and promoting things. And so he became the face of Marvel.
Yeah.
Like, of course, there is a lot of other things that made Marvel what it is today, but because he was the most vocal, he was promoting it and things like that, Stan Lee became the voice of Marvel. And I feel like that is the same thing that has happened to Batman and Michael Keaton. He's just
Yeah.
like, I'm Batman. I'm Batman. And so everybody looks at him and is like, hey, it's Batman.
Yeah. Yeah, the only person I think that would be on Keaton's level is Adam West.
Yeah.
So, and that's something that happened this past week was the Corridor Digital guys on YouTube actually had like a 30-minute video talking about how they were going to put Adam West in the Batman trailer. and it's pretty awesome. Did you see it?
Yeah, I saw a little. I've seen small clips of it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome, dude. The best part is when they have the 66 Batmobile driving through the fucking thing. It looks like it belonged in the film. I was like, dude, that's
I need to
awesome.
see that. I haven't seen the
Yeah,
car chase. The
it's
the one
fucking
thing that I
dope.
did see was the subway fight, and
Mhm.
then you just see Michael Keaton just grinning ear to
Yeah,
ear while he's fucking shocking this dude right in the neck.
Adam West.
Yeah, sorry,
Yeah,
yeah. Adam West just freaking like
yeah.
shocking him. That was fucking hilarious.
Yeah, and they have like I don't know. It's cool because they superimpose like the Riddler and the Penguin's face onto the other actors, and it's really cool, dude. Like wah wah wah. Like it's pretty dope. Suggest you guys go check that out if you haven't. It's called Corridor. Just type in Batman 66 the Batman or something, and it'll pop up. But moving on from talking about Batgirl and all the movies, going to HBO Max because it seems like all these ideas are like, oh yeah, we're making all these like movies for HBO Max. They're pushing them to theaters, which I like because that means they're making them theatrical, like as good as a movie should be in theaters, which I like for these HBO Max movies. But I will say, like, if the first two movies that were supposed to come out on HBO Max have both been pushed to theaters, possibly. We know
Yeah.
Blue Beetle's going already, possibly with Batgirl. So I'm like, are you really going to be doing anything for HBO Max or not? But one thing we'll be getting, because it just got greenlit, is the Kite Man spinoff from Harley Quinn. Thoughts on this? I mean,
We kind of gave our thoughts overall how excited we are because I think Kite Man has become revolutionary in the sense of that show, and because of like that only came out, I feel like because the quote unquote catchphrase that now Kite Man has is because of Tom
yeah.
King. Yeah, sorry, Drew. It's just
Yeah.
it's the way that it is. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I
Um,
mean, Tom King only brings relevance to a lot of these characters. I'm just going to say, you know what I mean?
but I'm excited about this. He's a funny enough character. I'm really interested in the way they're going to be doing this because they pitched it like it was going to be a Cheers show for villains, but it's going to be surrounding the Kite Man character. So
Yeah.
I'm excited for it for sure.
Yeah, no, I'm down for it too. I saw something. I don't know where I saw it. Maybe it might have been CVR, but apparently the Harley Quinn show is going to have a lot of cameos, like a lot of star cameos. Apparently,
Yeah.
so I'm kind of excited to see who's going to be in it. We know James Gunn will be one of them. I just after the backlash of like all the news that the show got because of Batman not going down on Catwoman, I wonder if they put it in there after all. If they're like, okay, look, we're not prunes, it's gonna be in the finale or something like that. You know what I mean? I wonder if they do that after all, or if they just mention it. They'll probably like have Catwoman make a joke about it.
I wonder if, and I feel like the only person to really get away with this would be James Gunn, but
Mhm.
maybe they could get away with this also. But like if they just put it in there, like without like yes, they got the red light, hey, you cannot pass go, do not collect $200, don't put this in your show. But then they
Yeah,
were just like, let's do it anyway. I would be
yeah.
really interested to see if it's in there.
Yeah, it'll be very, very interesting to see if that were to, just I don't know, because like once it's out, they can't do anything about it. You know what I mean? It's like you can get us in trouble. Yeah, who you gonna? What are you gonna do? We already
I
did it.
mean, you could cancel the show, but then that's less content for you. I
Yeah.
mean,
So I mean, I would definitely do something like that. I'm like, look, these guys aren't gonna fucking watch every show. Let's go ahead and just put it in the middle of the season because they're probably gonna watch the first 3 episodes and then be like, all right, it's all good. And then I'll be like, yeah. And then we put it in the fucking middle, and they'll be like, hey, what is everybody saying about this? I'm like, oh man, you should have. I thought you watched all the stuff. You gave us the green light. That's what I would do, or just make it a post credit scene or something. Something you can
oh yeah.
easily delete. Like it is what it is. Anyways, that is all we have for this news this week, ladies and gentlemen. So we're moving on to your questions. Now you said we have one on YouTube. I don't have YouTube pulled up right now.
Yeah, I can get
So,
it up right now. So it is from our old friend Raphael.
what's up, Raphael? Raphael, I believe just joined the Discord
Yes,
not
he
too long
did.
ago.
So going back to his question, let's actually make sure my volume's down because I'm looking at my phone here.
Yeah.
He says, uh, "Oh, he wrote a whole novel here. Hold on." So he says, "Great podcast. When you're discussing who would be better to run DC was fun. It was pretty much choosing the lesser evil, like in politics, LMAO." It says here, when it comes to fictional relationships, I mean romantic ones between two people, I think there are two types of writers. For some, the relationship must fit the plot. For example, Tom Taylor. While for others, uh, the relationship is the plot. Tom King. Both versions are fine. I like the second one much more because I feel that focus is deeper and the impact of the interactions between both characters is much more felt. I have a mutual love for Tom Taylor and uh oh I have a mutual who loves Tom Taylor, and she loves the Nightwing book, but feels the on and off relationship is a bit tiring because she would like to see some certainty considering DC's track record regarding the type of relationships is not good at all.
Yeah. I agree with
As
that.
for Williamson, and the character Talia, I started reading that issue again, and now I'm a little angrier because I don't know if you've noticed, but Talia's dialogue at the end of the issue is very similar to the dialogue that King uses for Catwoman. In my opinion, it's obvious and dumb, but he's never been a writer that I like, so I'm not surprised. So
Yeah.
his question, I didn't really notice the dialogue change
Mhm.
for Talia. So I'll have to go back and reread that. But he says, question, have you seen the cartoon called Beware the Batman? It was canceled after a first season, but in my opinion, it was very good because it used lesser known villains and uh not much the regular villains. So Beware the Batman used like that heavily CGI type of animation.
Oh, yeah, no, I didn't watch this. This was very, like this came off as very kiddish to me, so I never got around to watching it. I have no problem with watching any type of Batman content, but it did seem like, this was the Jimmy Neutron version of Batman,
It
you
was
know?
very, very odd. I don't remember a single thing about it. I
Mhm.
think I watched like one episode, but it was in a very weird spot on Toonami where they only put it on like at 3 a.m.
Oh,
And
that's weird.
that's where it debuted.
Mhm.
So I think they knew, hey, this show is nothing. We
Yeah.
don't like it. Let's just throw it in a time slot where it's going to get canceled. And I have heard people say that they should give it a chance because I think like Professor Pig is one of the main villains there. Katana plays a role in there as well. Uh, but I would be interested at least trying to give it another chance. It kind of fit the same animation as Green Lantern the animated series.
Oh, did it? I mean, I don't think I ever saw that either, so it's kinda hard for me to say.
Yeah.
Sorry. I'm actually like as we're doing this podcast right now, I am gearing up to do Hotel Apocalypse for San Diego Comic Con. So I don't know if we have any listeners that are going to San Diego Comic Con. As of right now, I'm not going, but I'm in a big ass group of people and we help each other get hotels and help each other get tickets. So I still got to do my part. I am debating though, because the reason why I'm not going is I don't have the money for it. It's just if you've never been to San Diego Comic Con, you need thousands of dollars to enjoy it there because of your
Yeah.
hotel, your ticket, and of course you're gonna want to buy all the shits. So the one thing that's happening is there's that, but I also haven't been on a plane since I had my anxiety stuff happen. So
Oof.
that's what I'm kind of like. I'm debating whether I should just go for a day because it wouldn't be as expensive, and it would
Yeah.
be kind of suck. It would kind of suck, but it would break my idea of anxiety for going on a plane
Yeah.
because I'll be like, I'll be going there. I'll be going to a place I know that I like, enjoy it for a day, come back, and I'll be like, all right, I've been on a plane post anxiety. I don't have to worry about it anymore. Um, so I'm debating whether to do that to save some money because I have a friend that's going for sure, and I know I can just stay there for a night. But we'll see what happens. Anyway, so if you guys ever hear me typing or something, it's probably because of that going on in the background. But moving on to questions in the Discord. There is one question that I mentioned that we're skipping, because it's been asked a billion times, and I commented on it last night. So we're not gonna do that question because that person needs to learn to not ask the same question anymore. And they didn't ask a replacement. But what's our first question we got?
Our
Ignore
first,
Red Hoods. Ignore
yeah,
Red Hoods.
the first question comes from Arwitz. He says, "What is the worst Batman comic you have read and why?"
I feel
Now,
like Young might have asked this,
I
but
think
go
it was
for it.
similar, but I just
Yeah.
want you guys to know at one point, Juice was on a mission to
Yeah.
read Batman's worst stories because he was wanting to do a YouTube video on it.
Yeah. I never
He
did it.
never finished it,
No.
but I got to hear all of these great summaries about these stories.
Yeah.
I think I know which one yours might be.
Oh yeah.
Um, I
Easy.
would have to say the same.
Yeah. So it would be Batman Odyssey. It is one of the most batshit crazy, like it's what is it? Neil Adams, right?
Yeah.
It's he had to have been on acid. He had to have been on acid while making that book because it's so ridiculous. Like they at one point go to the center of the world or the center of the earth and fly on pterodactyls, and they have this old villain, I forget his name, but he's been around before. And he's like this old like samurai, not samurai, but like dojo type master that's really badass. I'm forgetting his name. I know he's a classic villain though. Drew, I'm pretty sure will correct us on that. But and then he turns into a baby or something like that. He's like, I want to be reborn and possibly be different. And he ends up becoming a baby. And I think there's like a, I don't know if there's like a Batman version, and they all these like weird creatures love, are they like dino version? I don't know, dude. It's fucking weird. Also, Batman gets shot right in the face, so I think, and he survives. There's like a magic shield on his face, so I think Matt Reeves actually watched Odyssey or read Odyssey before making the Batman, and that happened. Oh, that actually came out this week too. The How It Should Have Ended version.
That was
Dude,
hilarious,
they made
dude.
fun of everything we complained about. Like genuinely, it feels like they watched our podcast and they just or they listened to our podcast and made fun of everything because they made fun of the bomb thing. They made fun of just like, oh my god, so much shit that we complained about, like the Riddler. It was fucking great.
The creepy Bruce Wayne
Yes,
watching
that
so
yes, so good, dude, so fucking good. But yeah, it has to be Batman Odyssey. I will also throw up there a lot of Kevin Smith's Batman. A lot of Kevin
Yeah.
Smith's Batman is pretty terrible. I love Kevin Smith, cool dude. But his Batman writing is awful. And it's, you know, he was drawing it with his friend. Like, I think his friend from that show, Comic Guys or whatever the hell it's called, because that dude's an artist. I think they probably both just got like high together and they're like, oh, it'd be cool if we have jokes about Batman fucking and weed and stuff. And it was just bad. Onomatopoeia also sucks as a character. I'm sorry. I think Onomatopoeia sucks. So
I will also put down there. It was a issue of Action Comics where it was basically just a backdoor pilot for Naomi, and all of what Bendis was doing. But it was like Superman barely showed up in it. It was mainly just Naomi and Batman that were in an Action Comics comic, and Batman was arguing with Superman, saying, "Oh, I don't know why I'm here because I should be." And he named every other thing that all the other Batman titles were doing because he thought it would be funny to break the fourth wall and tell everybody like, "Hey, look, Batman's continuity is really weird, but I'm still here because I'm Batman."
yes, definitely something I hate about Bendis.
Yeah.
But you know what? He's an interesting guy to talk to. I will say that. I've talked to him in person. He's an interesting guy, but his writing, not so great. You can be interesting and your projects suck. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's how people feel about my YouTube. So there's that. But anyways, what else have we got?
The next one, let's see here. Batman is talking about the Flash trailer. We did talk about that in the beginning of the podcast. Young asks, This one is mainly for Juice, but what is the best OnlyFans you've gotten from the wheel spin?
So for those of you that never come to the live streams, we
Oh,
have
shit.
we have a wheel spin. We have a front and a back of the wheel spin. The front of the wheel spin is a $10 donation, or if you sub to the channel, not subscribing to like on YouTube, but becoming a member, which is a $5 tier. So you get a front wheel spin, and it has just random stuff we do it on it. But on the back, we have what is like the worst wheel spin that I have to like spend money. I have to do something. Well, whatever. That one's a little bit more pricey. And on the back of it, I have buy an OnlyFans. And I'm just like, shit. So it's landed on that a few times. So I've had to buy multiple different OnlyFans. But he said best, right? Yeah. The best has either been I think her name is Elise Lauren. She's a Suicide Girl, former
Okay.
Suicide Girl. So
Yeah.
she's pretty hot. But probably the best one is this chick named I forget how to pronounce it. She has like an anime-ish type name, but it's like Octora or something like that. But people have probably seen her on the internet before because she has some of the best like cosplay adult content. Like it's just fucking tops, and you're just like, she has a crazy like dragon
And right
back
now,
tattoo.
everybody listening to this
everybody,
podcast
let me
is
check. Her name's like Octo something. But like if you've probably seen her before, but like she has this crazy back tattoo, and so she's very noticeable. But for the price and everything, because a lot of them have sales, I pick that shit off when it has a sale, y'all. Come on, that's what I'm doing. But for the price, she puts out fucking amazing content. I'm not even gonna lie. And that's not even just being like, oh yeah, no, it just like as a creator, she puts out amazing content. Because I followed other people, and man, they're shit. Like it's garbage. Like they're just trying to get money, you can tell. But she puts out fucking A1 content. So yeah, there you go, Young. Go check it out if you want to, but it's not free, so good luck.
Now,
And she's got a good team about hiding her content on Reddit. So I'm just gonna let you know about that too.
Nice.
Yeah.
The next question comes from Kid Stu. This is the one that I had said is related to the Batman that we talked about earlier. He says, "What news would have to come out for you guys to be excited for the Batman sequel?" And I would have to say, it needs to. I need to find out that the movie is shorter and there is a supernatural or comic booky element that is added to the rest of this trilogy.
So I couldn't accept that either, though, to be honest.
Really?
Because you've already set the precedent in the first film. Bringing in a supernatural comic booky element breaks the fucking tone of the whole series. And I don't think that works. It's like going from the first two Thors to Thor 3.
But some could say, I don't think most would, but some could say the tone for the Dark Knight trilogy changed dramatically from Batman Begins to the Dark Knight.
I would agree. It did. Wait, you said from the Batman to
From
the Dark Knight?
Batman
Yeah, from the first to
Begins.
two. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. I would agree with that. There's definitely a different tone change, but it was still like you had a real. It's also because of the suit. I think they went more realistic in the second one, so that's kind of bad. And some
Yeah.
people don't like. There are weird people out there that don't like the Dark Knight. So
Yeah.
and that think the Batman is the first, or Batman is the first film. Like the Batman Begins is the best one.
Yeah.
So I mean, maybe I'm in that group. Maybe I'm just going to be a part of that group. But and here's the thing too. I'm not going to lie to you. I never saw Batman Begins in theaters. So when Batman The Dark Knight came out,
Wow.
I only watched Batman Begins because I wanted to see The Dark Knight. So I was not watching at that time. Like I was just like, okay, cool. And so when I watched it, it was like one of those things when you're just trying to catch up, right? So you don't really
Yeah.
pay attention to it that much. And I also wasn't having hardcore conversations about Batman like I do nowadays.
Yeah.
So it wasn't the biggest thing. But I will say that tone-wise, I just don't think it would make sense. It would feel like Thor to Thor 3. Thor 2 to Thor 3 for me. And I wouldn't be able to accept that.
That's an interesting takeaway from that.
The only thing that could make me excited is if it came out that something was going to happen to bring Pattinson into the DCEU. Only way I'd get excited for it. Because at this point, I'm going to get realistic Batman again. It's going to be a long ass movie because Reeves, I don't think, is going to get away from it. He's like, oh, we only did 3. People loved our 3-hour movie. So why don't we go longer or just the same? I don't see him.
No, thank you.
He's so like big on story, I think, that he will fucking extend it. Unless WB comes in and it's like, it needs to be shorter. That's the only way. And knowing Matt Reeves, he'll be like, I call the shots here. So, I don't think he'll bend.
That's true. That's true.
Because that's what he told them at the start. And I think he has that mentality. He's like, I made just $700 million, So, like, what are you going to do? I made it during the pandemic. That's probably what he'll use, too. Like, I did it during the pandemic. And then they're going to be like, oh, yeah, I can't do that, So, like, but we have new people in Discovery. Discovery can be like, go fuck yourself. It's Batman. We can get anybody to come make the Batman. So, we'll see.
I was going to say with a new regime or whatever you want to call it, with WBD, I think they may have, a bigger foothold in being able to say, hey, I know you made us money, but there's a certain criteria that we want to fit in this genre. So it could happen. It definitely could happen.
I think we get a new Batman instead, to be honest.
I think so too.
I don't know who that's going to be, and I hope they do it soon, but yeah, I don't know. But I believe that is all our questions.
That is all of the questions. Yes.
All right. There's all the questions. I still got some time before this thing happens. So let's go ahead and look. All right. I don't have my iPad here, so I'm going to bring up all my stuff. But Deathstroke and Robin, fuck those books. I didn't give a shit about them. Did you like anything about them?
So I think I liked Deathstroke more than I liked Robin. Because the dialogue in Robin was atrocious. Because at like one point, I think it's the beginning of Robin. We see the whole thing going down with Talia and Batman, and then we see freaking oh shit, what's his name? That freaking fought Nightwing in his run. And was in the death tournament.
It's not Falcon. Is it Falcon? It's not Falcon.
No, that's not his name.
Raptor.
Okay, so I was really hoping that they were going to explain some shit here, and they really didn't. Because if you remember in the Shadow War Alpha issue, Raptor is a part of Talia's assassin team. And they brought him in because apparently he's a secret agent of Deathstroke and the secret society of villains, but they've never shown that whatsoever. They just told us. And I'm like, that makes no fucking sense. It just literally looks like you're trying to kill one of your own assassins. And I think that's stupid.
I'm looking at Robin right now, which is what we're talking about, right? Because like I said, I skimmed both of these. I didn't care. I instantly jumped off this book and didn't give a fuck about it because I'm pretty sure it's in this book. Oh, when Damian's like, I have a brother? I have a brother!
You have Dick Grayson, you stupid fuck.
Yeah. Go fuck yourself, William. It's Williamson still writing this shit, right? Yeah.
But
dude,
also...
Williamson can't write more than 3 books, apparently.
But like my thing is when freaking Respawn takes off his mask, he's like, I'm you, but not really.
Yeah.
No, you're not. You literally only have the DNA of Talia and Deathstroke.
Yeah.
You're stepbrothers.
Yeah.
That's what you are. You're not him. You're not a clone. What the fuck are you talking about?
I hope he dies. Like, I hope this is one of those characters that was made to die at the end of this book. At this point, I think it's probably best that Williamson wasn't going to be the main writer for Batman, because it seems like he can write very small and well. That's it. He can't do a landing. This has gotten out of hand, dude. Like, he had that one, I think it was issue like 5 or 6, that was really good for Robin. Yeah. And I wasn't even feeling the start of this book anyways. And I was like, okay, I'm back on the train once I saw that like Nightwing, everybody chasing Robin thing. And then he started fighting a big monster. And I was just like, what? And then they went into this whole like, oh yeah, my grandfather's gonna be better now, and all this kind of crap, and blah blah, and grandma's bad, and I was just like, okay, whatever. And now they're doing this Shadow War thing where he's trying to get Talia to kiss Batman, and all this kind of stuff. Or he did do that, and then now it's this weird like father and son gonna go chase down other father and illegitimate son, whatever kind of crap. That's half of your other son. Like it's so convoluted and dumb.
Yeah.
Like I just don't care. The dialogue was terrible. And yeah, I don't know. I don't like. I think it's just dumb. Like. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. I know Drew's gonna hate to hear this, but we know there's a mystery going on right now, right? We know there's a mystery going on. We don't know who killed whatever. This story is not interesting. You want to know who does a good thing that keeps you interested between each freaking thing? Tom King. Tom King gets you wanting to read the next issue when there's a mystery involved. You know what I'm saying? I mean, Drew's not going to like that about Human Target, but when it comes to what is the No Time to Kill? Is that what it's called? Or Killing Time?
Yeah.
I've already read next week's issue. I'm not going to spoil anything. I'm not going to say anything about it because it's embargoed still. But I'm interested in reading the next book because the mystery continues. And I'm just like, damn. Like, I want to know what the hell's going on in this book. This one, they're not even referencing really the guy that killed Rachel Goy. He's like, I didn't do it. That's it. I'm like, okay, show the guy.
They showed him on a computer screen and they're talking about him, but they at one point in I think the Alpha issue had like a point of view that was his.
Mm-hmm.
And now they've completely done away with that.
Yeah.
And so we're not getting anything with that character. And I think that's like they're wanting us to be like, oh, what about him? What about him? What about him?
Yeah.
But there's not enough surrounding the mystery to make us care about him either.
Yeah. I think this was a problem to criticize Tom King. The one time he didn't do this was during the Nightmare arc, right?
Yeah.
Everybody was like, it just feels so weird. Like, where's the story going? It's because it was 10 issues of Batman going through these hallucinations where, again, you have to be like, you're supposed to read it from the perspective of Batman. So Batman doesn't know where he's at. You shouldn't know what's going on outside of that either, right? But still, I think every issue should have ended with something going on the outside that we know like what is happening to Batman. And I think that's the best way to tell a story. You have to, if there's a mystery, that mystery needs to be the center of the whole thing. But here it's like, oh yeah, let's have a lot of fighting. Batman fights Deathstroke. He shows up. Freaking all these people show up. No, your center should be that villain. Tom Taylor is kind of doing that, but Heartless kind of just disappears for like 2 issues, 3 issues. But for a while, Heartless was ending every issue. And he was killing somebody, or he was killing a random person, or he was talking about like, oh, I got to go after this Nightwing person, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
We haven't seen him in the last couple issues. So Tom Taylor was doing it well, but I think that's the best way to tell a story is if you have a mystery, that mystery should be a part of every issue until it's solved or until it's revealed. You know what I mean? And then you can continue going after that. But for the most part, this is just
and like there was one scene where like Deathstroke's like, you care too much about people who don't care, and like he threw the bombs at like this grenade at like civilians, and Batman's like, I'll get the grenade, and Robin's like, I'll get the civilians, and then Robin throws his like shuriken or his freaking batarangs at the people, and he's like, run. I was like, what? And then so Batman saves the group of people and Robin. He's like, fucking Robin can't do shit. And he's like, okay, that team up was over. I'm done with you, Dad. And Batman's like, wait, Damian, how is it that you'll ever trust me again? And Robin's like, let me drive the Batwing. And they jump into the Batwing. And I'm like, this is so stupid. What the fuck is going on?
And I think you want to know why it's stupid is because I think when people think Batman and Robin, they think Dick Grayson, Bruce Wayne. And the reason why that worked, the campiness worked, is because Dick Grayson himself is campy.
Yeah.
Like, that's why. Damian's not. He's a little shit. And so him trying to be campy doesn't work. Now, granted, he could have loving moments with his father, but, like, he's always just a little dick. And so you can't do the campy shit with him. It just doesn't work. You can have him do, like, the tough shit. Like, yeah, that's believable because that's Damian. but the campy stuff doesn't work. And then the way this book ends, Williamson, bro,
Who was
come
it that
on.
said? Who was it in the Discord that like just popped off real quick? I think it was.
I have no idea. Were they
It
talking
was
about this
Red
book?
Hood. It was Red Hood. He said this. He said the last page of Robin 13 made me want to vomit. I was really liking the issue. Then the last page comes and I'm like, oh come on, why?
I don't know how Red Hood was liking this issue, but more power to you. Again, if you guys like any of the stuff we talk about, or any of the stuff I should say we shit on, more power to you. Like, if you get any enjoyment out of anything, that's awesome. We're just telling the truth on how we feel about these things. But yeah, so in the Batwing, Batman's talking about calling in somebody. He's like, "Oh, who are you calling in? Grayson?" That's what Robin says. And he's like, "No." And then there's some fighting, and then we get freaking Ghostmaker and Clown Hunter, and I'm just like, that's who you're bringing in, a kid that couldn't even fucking beat random people. Although technically this kid knew how to disable the Batmobile, so maybe he's a genius of some
No,
kind.
but I think at one point in the beginning of this freaking issue, uh I think it was Batman talking to, or maybe it was in the beginning of Deathstroke, sorry. In Deathstroke Inc., when he was talking to Raptor and
Mhm.
Batman, uh they were saying like basically wrapped it I think what he was supposed to be doing was like relaying a secret message to Batman, which
Yeah,
was really really weird. But like he uh he's talking to this other woman, this like demon looking chick,
yeah,
and she mentions Ghostmaker, and Batman's like, Ghostmaker, like question mark, like what,
yeah,
how do you know about Ghostmaker? Like, it's, I don't know why Williamson's writing is just starting to really irritate the fuck out of me.
yeah,
He was doing really well in some of the beginnings of these like stories, but he, like you said, he just doesn't know how to keep the hype going.
yeah. Yeah, and essentially Deathstroke was, I mean, we should have talked about Deathstroke first. I think we just jumped around. But Deathstroke ends with Robin and what's her face showing up.
Ravager, yeah.
Yeah, Ravenger to fight Deathstroke and them. If I'm not mistaken, hold up, let me check this out. Okay, I was gonna say, I was like, does the continuity make sense? Because they catch them in a building, but yeah, it makes sense because then they blow up the top of the building and they're fighting on top of a roof.
Yeah.
Yeah, Deathstroke is everybody. I think, who was it that says like, "Oh man, Juice." They said I pretty much called what was gonna happen in
Yeah.
Deathstroke, and it was me saying that like, "Oh, they're gonna do the whole like moment of weakness kind of bullshit where it's like, oh yeah, they have it happen." He's like, "Oh no, I didn't mean to do that," all that kind of crap, like, which was so predictable because they were like, "Oh, we can't get rid of Batcat, but we want to do this," and I just don't care about Williamson, bro. Like, I don't know why he's got such popularity. I don't know if anybody does consider him like a really good writer. He's
I
had
think that
moments.
unfortunately, I think what has happened is DC has ran all of their good writers away because they haven't been willing to pay good rates for them.
Yeah,
And so they're off doing their own projects, not really, paying any mind to the big two, while DC is just scrambling. And Williamson basically held out. He did what I guess is a smart move. He's like, oh, I have these really shit books that I'm writing, but everything is kind of hitting the fan right now. If I just sit and play good boy, I'm gonna be on some of the biggest titles here at DC because everybody will be gone. And that's what he did. Unfortunately, he's just not a great writer.
yeah, yeah. I don't not the biggest fan of it for sure. But it is what it is. So should we cover Detective or Justice League first?
Let's do Detective and get that out of the way.
Okay.
Um, how did you feel about this book?
I actually, we're talking about the front part of the book first, right?
Yes.
Because the back part of the book, oh my god. Um, the front part of the book, I'm waiting for it to load on my phone because I read these on my iPad. But I like this more than what we were getting during the whole Arkham thing. And
Really?
yeah, it looks stupid. but I like Riddler with the mustache.
Oh, I knew you were gonna say it. I knew you were gonna say it.
It looks stupid. It
Dude,
looks
I
stupid.
I saw the like when you get the first good look at him on like the second page, I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, it's Juice cosplaying as the Riddler.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Love it. It looks dumb, I'm not gonna lie. Like, because it doesn't look like the Riddler, right? It looks
Well,
weird.
it doesn't mesh with the continuity of the character as recently as fucking
Yes.
the last story arc.
Yeah,
Like
I agree. I agree.
it doesn't the it feels like two different characters.
Yeah.
I thought this was somebody acting to be the Riddler, and
Yeah.
then they actually call out that this is actually Edward Nygma. And I was like,
I thought it
that
was
was
somebody
weird.
pretending to. I thought it was somebody pretending to. But overall, the story was interesting to me. I liked the art. I thought the art was really good.
Yes.
Um, but it was just a nice change of pace from all the bullshit we've got in Arkham, from that whole Arkham thing. Like, this was a
Yeah.
Batman story, and he was trying to figure out. We got to see Bruce Wayne a little bit more, which is something we haven't seen in a long time.
Yeah.
Also, give him his money back already. Like, why are we still on that? Like, it
Yeah,
hasn't
just
hindered him
reminding
at
us
all.
again, oh, hey, I don't have any money. Let's go get a drink, but let's go get a cheap drink. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
what the fuck?
Like, it hasn't hindered him at all. So I don't understand. Like, we're not doing. He's not struggling at all. It's not like, oh shit, I'm out of batarangs because I don't have any money. Or like,
Yeah.
oh, like the suit isn't tattered and ripped or anything crazy. We saw the whole Bat team make a whole new area. Like, they got caught. The sword thing was cool because they ended up getting caught, and you're just like, oh crap, and they got attacked. But then they have a whole new area now that seems like it's super expensive. And I'm just like, give him his money back, dude. Like, there's no point in this anymore. Like, the Foxes aren't doing anything with it. And it's just
Yeah.
like, it makes no sense. And if you're going to make that part of the story, because what was it like? Didn't they come out and say Bruce Wayne was bad? I don't even remember what happened during Joker War. Like,
Yeah, I honestly could not tell you. I don't think that it came out that Bruce Wayne was Batman,
but he was
but that
funding Batman,
he
right? Or
was
some crap.
funding Batman and he was working with vigilantism and uh I mean, due to the whole Infinite Frontier thing, this should have been known already because he founded freaking Batman Inc.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't
I
make any
don't.
sense.
I don't get what's going on. But yeah, I mean, basically, this whole story was there was a lot of people doing crimes that have no criminal past. And so Batman is trying to solve this riddle or just like what is happening here. So it was just this nice little different detective story. And it turns out that the writer that we've been seeing, all of Detective, this whole journalist this whole time, her daughter's a supreme, like not a Supreme Court, but a judge.
Yeah.
And from my understanding, I thought you had to be a certain age to be a judge. So that's kind of weird.
She is very young.
She
To the
seems
point
young,
to
but yeah.
the point where the mother and daughter, like the way Ivan Reyes just draws them, they
Yeah.
look similar ages. Like,
yeah.
that's why I was a little weirded out when she was like, "You're my daughter." I was like, "Whoa, this is fucking weird." Like, I could
Yeah.
understand sister or whatever,
Yeah.
but daughter was maybe a little bit of a stretch.
Yeah. So like I thought that was really weird. I think a sister probably would have been a lot better. The dynamic between them two, like I understand mothers and daughters fight, like I get that. But like sisters fight too, so that could have played off as well. Um and yeah, so it seems like she has a problem or there's something she needs to do because the Riddler's forcing her to do something. But it's just another, it's a detective story that we're going to find out why is the Riddler doing this, and I'm curious to see what's going on. And yeah, that's pretty much it. It's the first issue of a new arc. So
Yeah. But now on to the backup story. Gotham Girl Interrupted. Now, I just want to say this just proves that I know that Rosenberg is busy with a whole bunch of other books, but can you please come back to write something else? Please.
yeah,
Please come back and write something else for the backups of this book. Oh boy. I know Drew is going to say something about this backup, and I think we may
is
agree
he
with
though?
him.
Is he? I mean,
I
he's
don't know.
gonna, he's gonna say something about the topic of it because it's Drew's MO to say something about like mental health or whatever. It's just what he does. But also, he's not a Tom King lover, so I don't know if he's gonna cares about Gotham Girl. So
True, but I will say this: whoever decided to write this is Cinna Grace's story.
yeah,
I don't know if he was given this pitch or he
is this a
pitched this
guy?
book. Yes,
Oh, okay. I thought Sinnoh was more of a female name, but that's me. That's my thing for guessing gender. My
I'm
bad.
pretty sure Cinna Grace is a male.
This
Uh,
feels like a female wrote it though, because it feels like that early Burnside
Let
Batgirl.
me
That's what
double
it felt
check
like.
because, like I said, I don't want to misgender. Cinna Grace.
Yeah, I genuinely thought this was written by like almost like if you would have taken names away, I would have thought this was written by the person that read Batgirl by Burnside.
Yes,
So
Cinna Grace is uh a guy.
okay, yeah, I've never heard of this writer before, so I
Yeah,
have no idea what they're doing.
pronouns he him is on
Okay.
Twitter. Uh, but yeah, I don't know if he gave this pitch or if somebody gave this pitch to him and then he just made whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But you like from what we got at the last story of Gotham Girl, like the
Yeah.
last bit of Gotham Girl, let
Yep.
me just say there was a lot of hope in those last pages.
Mm-hmm.
What we got here, I just want to go ahead and say this as well. I understand that mental health is a big deal. We have talked about it more and more along with this podcast, and I know that there can be relapses and life sucks sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
This took it a little overboard to a piece of storytelling that I don't think is really believable from where we left off with Gotham Girl.
I agree. And just to harp on the mental health thing, mental health is the reason why this podcast stopped for about 3 weeks. And we came back and I tried to come back and I literally had a panic attack during the first episode, during a Batcat episode, which kind of sucked. And yeah, it was kind of rough. But so yeah, we don't fuck around with mental health. But even though I am somebody that is a big supporter of mental health, even I didn't like this. Like there's ways to write things well and there's ways to write things bad terribly, and this was one of those things. And this is probably, if Drew does come out and say some convoluted shit about this, I would probably agree because this wasn't a good issue, depending on how crazy he goes. We know how Drew is. Sorry, Drew. But I I it was just bad, man. Like she was very hopeful that on that last Tom King issue where she became essentially Superman, and I was excited to see where she was going to go. I don't like it's so, her dialogue and her just mentality was terrible here. Like,
And also, really big red flag on the continuity of Batman books.
mhm.
She was in Arkham Tower apparently.
Yeah, I don't get it,
That is
and
stupid.
that, I just don't see how you go to this. Like it, this is such an easy story to write from what it was at, right? Like you just tell the story of what she's been doing since then, since the last issue. That's your first issue.
Yeah.
Like, where have I been? What have I been doing? One, they told us, they didn't show us, which was
Yeah.
kind of sucky. And like she could have been harping on her brother a lot more, still reeling about that. Like, I've actually had a second chance, blah blah blah, like my brother, this and that. Could have done more of that. And dude, this was just like really, and she mentions it in the book. She was like, "All right, I'm ready to be a part of a shitty rom-com kind of thing." And I'm like, that's what this felt like. A really shitty CW episode. And I just didn't like, I don't, it was weird because she meets another character that they went to Arkham and they were like, "Hey, why haven't you been coming to the AA meetings?" Like, essentially.
Yeah.
And she's all like, "I just don't want to be there. It's not for me." And then you have like, I don't know, there's this one panel of Batman standing over her and she's like, "It's happening. I think I need people." And it's like, well, I mean, why wouldn't she be a part of the Bat family, like helping out? I don't understand that. Like,
Well, and that's the one thing that I was also pissed off about, because she goes on this little like tangent about the Bat family and
yeah,
how like, oh, they all have each other. They like, what was the exact wording of it? Let me try to find it.
yeah. She said she didn't want to be a part of it or something, right? Or some shit.
I don't remember exactly where it was, but she said something about like how I'm trying to look for the actual panel because I think I remember the panel more. Oh, it says here, um, uh, oh shit. Oh, they were just humans with trauma and utility belts. I'm
Yeah,
different.
yeah. Okay, okay. You're the
Like
one in the mental health facility right now talking about trauma. Like, she doesn't have trauma. Like, her brother died. Like, and she went evil because of it. Like, if anybody has trauma, she has more trauma, and her trauma is a lot recent, is more recent.
she called them. Uh, I don't want to be in the Batman squad of battle orphans.
Yeah.
That's what she called them.
This book was so bad. Like,
Yeah.
you could, like, dude, I was excited. Like, that was one of the things I mentioned. I was like, if they never bring back Gotham Girl, I would love to write a Gotham Girl story because you could do so much with her. I feel like she's Supergirl in Gotham. That's all
Yeah.
she is. And she's Supergirl with, I mean, Supergirl has trauma too, but like, it's just like, different. It's a different story of
But you
trauma.
could do a World's Finest with
Hmm.
Supergirl and Gotham Girl.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
And just give them super powered people to fight to where it's like, all right, cool. Um, yeah, I don't understand this. Like, dude, she could be Gotham's daytime hero, like Signal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was the big tease from Tom King's run, that
Hmm.
like it showed like a future where Gotham Girl and Duke were together.
Yeah.
And we were like, "Oh, maybe we'll get that story in the future." That's I would have wanted that more than this, dude.
Yeah. This was, I,
She like talks to a gargoyle's head.
yeah. Yeah.
That
She
was
does the whole
strange.
Wilson kind of thing.
Yeah. And apparently she keeps putting holes in the Wayne mansion. She
Hmm.
doesn't use the door. Like, because the way she described it is having to keep repairing holes in the Wayne mansion. Well,
Yeah.
who else is putting those holes there than the one person that can fly in Gotham?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what to do with this story, man. Like, it like I said, it felt like this was, if Burnside had its own universe, this was it. Like, she would be a part of Burnside's universe. And I didn't like it. And I don't know if it's just because it came off as a very like girly story, because I thought this was written by, because when you I hate to put people in a box because oh, what's her name that did the one we liked a lot, that we said she should write Batman. I'm forgetting her name right
Oh,
now. Is it Gomez? Or I forget who her name.
Garcia. Uh, oh
Whoever
shit.
wrote Joker, what was it? Harley
Uh,
Quinn, Killer
uh,
Smile?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
No,
No,
it
not
wasn't
Killer
Killer
Smile.
Smile.
It was Criminal Insanity.
Criminal Insanity. Yes, she's broken the mold, but unfortunately, because this doesn't happen a lot, we see a lot of
Cammy
female writers.
Garcia.
Cami Garcia, yes, Cami Garcia broke the mold and broke any stereotype of like, oh, female writers only write poppy type of bullshit. Unfortunately, we don't get a lot of female writers in comics, or we don't get a lot of female writers writing Batman, is what I should say.
Yes.
Tamaki was breaking that mold too. Tamaki was doing some really cool stuff, but I mean, I think, okay, I'm actually talking about out of my ass here because Gail Simone fucking wrote a badass Batgirl. So I'm talking about out
Yes.
of my ass here. I think people have the vision of what female writers write, and it was Batgirl by Burnside. They were like, why did they change? Because we went from a fucking great Batgirl to Batgirl at Burnside. I'm like, why did we get so bubbly and whatever?
Yeah.
And maybe that's like, well, because we want a more female presence on female characters, that's a fair argument. That's a fair argument because I think a lot of men will be like, well, you could just make female characters badass, which is kind of our argument. Like, you don't need to be like, I'm girly, like they can just
Yeah.
be just as badass. Um, And I just felt kind of like this is that. So negate my whole argument. I just feel like this belonged in the Burnside area, and I
Yeah.
wasn't a big fan of Burnside. So I'll
But
say that.
like the what it ends up being is this, like you said, this other individual that was also in Arkham Tower. He's trying to convince her of the community of Arkham and like how, hey, we're not all supervillains, we're not all bad. We're just trying to keep people accountable and stuff.
Yeah,
And she then realizes after some time on her own, she's like, "Oh, wait, you were just like really into Gotham Girl. So
yeah,
I'm going to put on my costume. We're going to have a date or whatever. We'll spend time together and maybe it will be good for me." And she flies all the way to the art studio that they were a part of. And there he is, kneeling down in front of a Gotham Girl blog with all of his art, and he blew
yeah,
his brains out.
yeah, yeah,
That's how it ends.
yeah. So she, by being mean to him, essentially caused his suicide.
Yeah,
Yeah. Um. Yeah. I mean, I don't care.
it's
Like,
it,
we were excited for this book too. We were excited
yeah,
for her return, which kind of sucks. And I wasn't expecting this. I just felt like this was such an easy written story to tell, and we're getting some. It just doesn't feel like Gotham Girl. I think that's my end point. It
it's
doesn't
really
feel like
weird.
Gotham Girl.
This is very meta for me. You know how people argue about how Man of Steel is not Superman? This is not Gotham Girl. Like that,
Mhm.
like what people think Superman should be on screen is initially how the ending of Tom King's run with Gotham Girl was.
Yeah,
Like she had hope. She was going to go search for her life and like become this like inspiring hero. And that's what I wanted to see. Even if there was challenges, because I get it. Like we said, mental health is an everyday struggle.
yeah,
So there could have been that struggle, but you still could have had the hope and the big dramatic change from where she was, during the whole Flashpoint Batman stuff and, being his Robin and all of that stuff.
yeah,
You could have done something a lot more than this. Like
yeah.
this was a waste of 8 pages.
I agree. I agree. Yeah, just telling me where she's been would have been a great first issue, but this was just all right, whatever. And she
Yeah.
wasn't shown in any of the detective previous stuff, but she was in Arkham. Like, makes no sense to me. Anyways, let's move on to Justice League because I'd rather end with Steel.
Yes.
So what are I? So it was an interesting book for me because like I like the callbacks to the OG like Crisis and stuff, but I haven't been reading anything prior to this, so I don't care.
Yeah, Juice is, and he said this before. He said this way back when we started Batman News Weekly. At one point Juice was attempting to read a Wonder Woman story and that turned into shit. Like
Yeah,
he has been burned by other books that aren't Batman before, so that's why he doesn't read a lot more than what we do for the podcast.
yeah,
Well, here you don't have to read any of Bendis's Justice League, which is
hmm,
great. You just know that, hey, these are the characters that are in the Justice League right now, and a crisis type event is coming into fruition at DC. I really dug this. Now, the only stuff that you probably will need to read in preparation for this is, of course, uh, Infinite Frontier 1 through 6, or Zero 1 through 6, and then Justice League Incarnate, and then this book. But honestly, reading it on its own, do you think this was a start to finish storyline? Like just as a one shot story?
I mean, what do you mean? Like there that nothing would continue from this? Like it's a one shot? I
No,
don't.
more so that like you were able to read this story and understand what was going on.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But
So if
it's
you
because
don't, oh, go
I've
ahead.
read stuff in the past
Okay, okay.
because of all the references and stuff. You know.
If you don't want to do the homework, I think it's safe to just jump in and read it. Because one thing that we've continuously said, Williamson knows how to start a book. He knows how to
Hmm.
get people's attention, draw people in, and he did a really, really good job with this book.
Yeah.
I dug it a lot because I have done my homework. I have read the other books that really go into this, but like I think it's like midway through this book, shit hits the fan so fucking fast.
Yeah.
And I know there's some people who may be a little angry at some of the outcomes here because, of course, this was teased as the death of the Justice League. One of the big things with the characters here, John Stewart got this like new like godlike power with the
Yeah, I was
Green
confused by
Lantern,
that.
with the
He can make
willpower.
people now?
He is basically what 90s comic book readers would equate to like Icon and Kyle Rayner.
Okay.
Those people who understood that reference, yes, that's basically what John Stewart is. He is a god of the willpower, and he is able in this one page basically brings out all of the heroes of the DC universe and is helping fight uh this large group of individuals. And the one thing that hit me so fucking hard, because he is one of my top 5 characters in DC universe, is the fact that the only character that is literally not supposed to be there is Green Arrow,
Mm-hmm.
and he fucking bites the bullet from a fucking Doomsday character.
Yeah, he got fucking smashed.
He fucking dies. He just dies before everybody else. And then everybody else dies in the exact same way as uh
Flash.
Flash did back in the original Crisis on Infinite Earths. There is a tease to this though that I
Mm-hmm.
will go ahead and quote unquote spoil here. One of the surviving members of the Justice League at the very end is Black Adam, and Wally West Flash, Naomi, and John Kent Superman find him, and he's just yelling out, they're all dead, they're all dead, the Justice League is dead. Now, the one tease here, when you see all those panels of when Wonder Woman, Superman, and Batman are like basically getting erased from existence or whatever.
Yeah.
So if you go and read Infinite Frontier, the way that ends on
Mm-hmm.
issue 6 is the Flash, Barry Allen the Flash. It's happening to him also,
Yeah.
but he ends up being in like a dream state world.
Hmm.
So the Justice League have not died.
Yeah.
We will continue their stories in separate one shots, one of them actually being written by Tom King with
Oh.
Superman.
Oh, okay.
Uh we see them all being in their own dream like state, like world or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course most of the Dark Crisis though will be how the heroes on Earth cope and adjust with no Justice League.
Yeah.
So I am kind of excited for this. I'm not excited due to the way that Williamson does do his writing,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're
but
all gonna find out they have brothers at the end of this. So
but I did tell Juice that we probably will be reading Dark Crisis because Nightwing is heavily invested into the storyline, and so is Deathstroke. Again, more Batman-like characters or Batman story characters are in the Crisis book. So I think it is a event book that we will follow. And I
mm-hmm.
know that I think it was Red Hood that said that he had a theory on how everything is going to be adding up to like the new like whatever DC is planning for like a new reboot or whatever.
Yeah.
So Red Hood, if you have a theory or whatever, if you want to DM me or if you want to just say it publicly because it's just your theory, I think that would be fun. We can talk about it in the future.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it was I saw a lot of people making comments about this book on Twitter because they were like, there's no way Batman's gonna die because look at these creative teams. And it was talking about Ram V's new creative team on Detective. And I mean,
you were
I don't know why
saying
they're
you were I know
yeah.
exactly who you were saying.
I might
I
have saw it
follow
from you
him.
because I don't follow comic people, so
Yeah. I follow him. We talk a lot. He's a really big Jace fan.
what?
And
There's
he's
big Jace fans?
yeah, and
Oh
he's loving the creative teams that are attached to Batman right now.
yeah. Uh People like Jace? Like what? That's surprising. But you know what's funny, Deary? Maybe your friend's that guy's a contrarian. I learned the meaning of that word yesterday in the stream. Somebody was like, "Hey, Juice, do you consider yourself a contrarian?" Or somebody asked me that. I think it was Young, or he said if I knew what a contrarian was. And I've heard the word a million times, but I don't know the definition of it. And it's apparently somebody that goes like against the grain or just chooses to be the opposite or play the devil's advocate. So, I mean, anybody that likes Jace has to be a contrarian right there, right? But yeah, so that was wild. I don't know. I mean, the book was okay. I liked a lot of the references, to the old stuff, which was really cool. I was definitely thrown off by Green Lantern being able to make other Justice League members. I was like, since when has that been a thing? But yeah, I also love that how all the super people were fighting everybody, and Batman was like, "Canary, we got to do this." He's like, "What?" But everybody's over here, and they're like, "Yeah, well, we're fucking human, so like, let's go do this thing over here. Let's go stop what's his name from blowing up." And then that's what they went to go do. But yeah, dude, I love Green Arrow getting the spot of like, I'm always here, like I'm never supposed to be here, but I'm always here to save the day, and he fucking shoots his arrow.
Dude, that scene is so fucking good. You see the arrow fly through all of the shit that's going down to do the one thing that they needed to do, and then he fucking just eats it, dude. I'm like, fuck.
Dude, yeah, he's all like, "Let's go home, guys," and then smash. Like, it was pretty crazy.
Oh man. But like I said, I think that I think we will enjoy parts of Dark Crisis. The ending will be very interesting. Williamson did write the Future State Justice League book, which had, its ups and downs. So we will see how all of that goes. But we have one more book to talk about. I'm interested to hear what you have to say about it. But it is the Dark Knights of Steel #6. I was really interested in this book because, of course, we left off with the Kent family finding Bruce Wayne and seeing whether or not we're going to get that story at all. We do not, so I'm sure it'll come up soon. But we do get a little bit of, like, I mean, we get some justice for what has been going on. And I feel like, again, we're getting small pieces of the like Game of Thrones-esque storylines here. We actually see Tim Drake in the very beginning of this book with Constantine. And Constantine is like basically drinking himself to death. He's super drunk. And Tim Drake, sorry, is like saying, "Hey, I've, just wanted to make sure you're okay." And Constantine's like, "Don't try to play your, little game. I know who you are. You're one of the Robins. You came in here to infiltrate us and to inform the Batman. So I know who you are." It's like, "Okay, you know who I am, but just know that I'm not here to hurt you. I'm not here to really, mess you up as much as you've already messed up yourself." And we find out that Constantine was actually in love with Jefferson, and he never shared those feelings. And he like kicks freaking Tim out of the room. This is where one of Jefferson's daughters comes out, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, are you okay?" And Constantine's like, don't freaking care about him. He's a Robin." And she gets pissed, like super pissed. And she like electrocutes him and shocks him and stuff. I thought that Tim Drake was about to die here, and I was like, "Oh shit!" Like, I don't necessarily know if I want there to be no casualties with the Bat family, because that's something that we've always kind of critiqued about these Elseworld stories, is that like the Batman family is usually the first to go because they're so smart, they're intuitive and everything else. But with such a gruesome story like a Game of Thrones-esque story for the DC universe, I feel like it's inevitable. But they let him go basically scot-free, other than, being electrocuted. He goes and tells this story to the kingdom of Els, and he's wanting to inform the Batman, but of course we know where he is. Nobody else knows. And Kal-El is like, "Hey, he's gone. He's missing. Just tell us." And he's like, "I'm not really sure if I feel comfortable with this," because he basically just tells Laura and Kal-El, "Hey, your daughter and sister, yeah, she's the one murdering everybody." And she's like,
Yeah, that was crazy.
she puts on this like act like, "It wasn't me. Like,
Yeah.
how could it be me?" He's lying. And so like I think it was Laura that was basically like, everybody needs to leave. I need to think about this. We'll see how we proceed. And this is where we see uh I think one of my most favorite parts of this story is the twist of Constantine calling up Etrigan.
Yeah, that was pretty interesting. It was
And
cool though.
he
They're
was
always
like
tied together.
hey, I need a favor from you, but not from the demon. I need the leader of the demons. Or I need the
Yeah,
head. I need the head of the demon. And as soon as he said the head of the demon, I was like, no fucking way. And he turns into a man, and it's Ra's al Ghul.
yeah,
And I was
that
like,
was awesome.
oh shit, that's actually really fucking smart because he is the head of the demon. Being a demon is actually a good play on words. And he's wanting to resurrect Jefferson, but he's not able to because he's like, hey, I can resurrect people, but I can't regenerate them. So like he has a hole in his body. If I resurrect him, he's still gonna have the hole in his body. I
Yeah,
can't fill what's not already there. But the son I can resurrect. He's like, okay, well, what do you need? He's like, oh, well, all I need is what does he say? He said because he basically, I think Constantine said, well, I know there's going to be a cost, so what cost is it? And he's like, oh, well, all I want is the Titans. And I
I was confused by
guess
that.
I would assume like the characters that are known as the Teen Titans,
Hmm.
because he says here, you have them hidden somewhere, don't you? It's all right. You don't have to give them to me. Simply tell me where they are and I'll bring back your prince. And we don't see them actually shake on it, but that's something we assume is going to happen. Cal goes to I are we still calling it Amazonia, or what is it called? Yeah, Amazonia.
Themyscira. Or is it
Uh
Amazon? Yeah, it's Amazonia. But like, yeah, I get you. I get you.
and he flies there, but he doesn't land on the ground. And all of these like guards and the Amazons are like trying to fight him and fight him back. He's like, I don't want to fight you guys. I just want to talk. This is when freaking Hippolyta just comes up. She's like, oh, you wanted to talk to me? Well, you found me. And as soon as she says that, she freaking stabs him into the freaking gut. And I'm like, how is this fucking possible? But I'm like, oh wait, they're all Amazons. They're all magic. This is clearly just like something that could easily happen. But he gets tied up by the lasso and is questioned by Lois. And he is saying he is like actually telling the truth. He's like, I don't know why I just said that. Like it's not necessarily something I wanted to tell you, but I can't stop. She's like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, you were compelled by this lasso of truth. And Kal-El genuinely believes that his sister has not done anything. And
Which is weird because of the last issue. We know Kal-El himself is a bad person. So
yeah,
like, I thought they were kind of like in cahoots.
well, I want to know because I think I could get some more information with Abby on this because she's kind of been obsessed with this podcast about narcissism. And I
Narcissism. Okay.
think narcissism, like basically people can genuinely think something and like think it's the truth.
Yeah. Were you working with me when Kevin was around?
No, but I think I've heard some stories
Okay.
about Kevin though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Kevin was the first person I've ever met that believed his own stories, which is insane. That dude would tell you some of the most batshit crazy stuff ever, and he believed it. Like one, just to, for any, I don't know if I've ever said this on the podcast before, but this guy, ladies and gentlemen, used to say that he could not wear gold watches because he would melt his sweat would melt the mechanisms in the watch, or if he wore silver watches, the second needle would spin just fast because of his sweat. He also said that he lost 40 pounds in 4 days for a track meet. Yeah, to meet the requirements. I was just like, and
Oh,
that one
shit.
was funny That one was funny because you remember the old man. We had an old man that always talked shit, right? Remember him?
Yes. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Old man was in there with us, and he was like, "Man, you really believe your own shit, don't you?" Like I was laughing, dude. He was like, "You're full of shit, man." I was fucking
Oh
dead, dude.
shit.
I just started busting out laughing, and then he just walked out. It was fucking funny, dude. Yeah, those just old work stories. But yeah, so I was confused about that. So, but I mean, it could make sense.
So, and that's basically where we end because like Kal-El is like, if only I could have a word with your queen, we could talk things out. You don't need to go to war. We're gonna be just fine. Let's just talk this out. And Lois is like, well, you're too late because we're already here.
Yeah,
Um, so it looks like shit is about to hit the fan over at the land of the elves. We still don't know anything about what has happened with Bruce and the Kents, and like what has happened to the Green Man, the Joker, and all of that, and what part is all of these other characters in this universe going to play in this story? Because, like you said, we have some ideas. I think we kind of mapped out like a trilogy of this book
yeah,
once before, and we're like,
yeah,
yeah, these stories are probably going to be a lot worse than what we just planned out or what we assume is going to happen. Um, but I do hope that we do get a little more into this universe other than just like get straight to whatever climax of this story, because I believe this is 12 issues. This is the halfway point.
yeah,
So
yeah.
what were your thoughts overall with like everything going on with like with Ra's al Ghul and the demon and all of that stuff?
The so we are halfway through. I hope the Titans are going to be a part of this story somehow now, because don't just reference them and then be like, "Oh yeah, we'll get to them eventually." You know what I mean? Because now it seems like they're Games of Thrones in this, obviously, and we are going to have the resurrection of what's his face, the son.
Yeah.
So he's probably going to come back, and he's going to come back to life right before the ceremony, right? Like that's what's going to happen. He's like, "I'm the true king," or some shit like that. Everybody's gonna be like, "What?" And
Well, and he even said, Ra's al Ghul said that when they come back, he will not be the same.
yeah,
So I think that again, like there will be an at like, and again, I'm talking out of my ass because I haven't seen a lick of Game of Thrones other than the series finale. But
yeah,
like, is this resurrected? I think his name is Jacob. Going to be like a what were they called in Game of Thrones? Like the
White Walker.
Ice King or the yeah
Yeah, White
the
Walker.
Walker, the White
Yeah,
Walker.
yeah. I doubt it, because that's not how White Walkers worked.
Okay.
Well, yes, it was, but I think hmm, I'm trying to remember if White Walkers it only happened in that area that they became White Walkers. Because I don't remember anytime somebody died, I don't think they automatically became White Walkers. So yeah, it had something to do with the area of people becoming White Walkers in that way because you had to burn their bodies. Um, I don't think that's going to be the case here. That would be too Games of Thronesy at this point if he came back as like a zombie. Um, but I don't know. I am curious of what they're gonna do here. Well, it would have to be a flashback if they were to do what I just said about like right before the ceremony happens, he comes back to life because Tim Drake actually goes a day. It takes him a day to get to the El Kingdom when he reveals all of that stuff after he got destroyed by the daughter.
Mhm.
It kind of seemed like Constantine and the king had a little thing going on, or maybe Constantine was just in love with him.
Yeah, I think it was more so that he was in love with him and he never shared those feelings.
Yeah. So we have that going on. What do you think? Like, I love that Hippolyta actually stabbed Superman here.
Yeah.
Like, because it's always like he's impenetrable or all this kind of stuff happens. I like that she was just like yoink, like shank shank, and she got him. But do you think Lois? They're gonna do the whole Lois Superman story here. I hope that doesn't happen.
I don't think so. I
I
mean,
don't want her to
because
like let me help you out. You know.
I think there may be like some vulnerability with it,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't think that it'll be so much so that like, oh, I'm in love with you. I think it. I think Lois may have a moment of weakness towards Cal, and
Yeah.
it may cost her, you know, because of something that Cal might do afterward. But I
Yeah.
don't think that the actual relationship between the two will happen.
Yeah. I hope not, because it'll just be very typical of
Yeah.
stuff happening. Um, but I'm excited to see what happens here. I like how Amanda Waller put the idea into
The
Kal-El's
Queen,
mom's head. Yeah, the
yeah.
queen's head, where she was like, if Hippolyta dies, Diana becomes queen.
And she's on
And
our side.
yeah. But is that gonna lead to Diana? Like, I'm assuming that hints at Hippolyta's death. She's gonna die. So, and didn't she
Possibly.
just die in real comics?
Yeah.
Yeah, she just died in real comics, right? So I'm curious, I should say canon, um, if this will be part of the spin-off, though. Like, is Hippolyta gonna die in this war? Diana becomes queen, but she finds out that Supergirl was the one that started everything. So then she's gonna have resentment towards her lover, and she's gonna be like, "You're the reason my mom died. Like this whole war started because of
So
you."
there will be peace for a limited time until that secret is found out.
Yeah, is what I would think.
Yeah.
So unless does this book have to end with Supergirl's death?
Ooh.
You know, that means we have 6 issues to build up all of this stuff and have her die.
Well, here's the thing. It's either one of the else.
Hmm.
Because of what happened between Bruce and Cal last issue, I
Yeah.
think maybe Cal might die,
Hmm.
and so maybe he is made king, and the secrets of Supergirl are left alone. And then later on, in like
Hmm.
the spin-off or the sequel or whatever, we find out, or Diana finds out, and that's a cause for another, war tension or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of avenues to go.
I don't think a spin-off is really what should happen. It should be a sequel.
Yeah.
I don't, I mean, I guess you could tell other stuff happening in the spin-off, but I feel like that's when Tom Taylor gets too far away from things and it's just a bunch of other bullshit and it kind of becomes not as good, you know? This
Yeah.
should stay a sequel to where the final thing that happens is maybe we don't even get a conclusion. Maybe it's like the final big war. Like Batman has built up an army, or he showed, like, I don't know, let's say the L's are winning, right? The L's are winning, and the freaking Amazons and everybody else are about to lose, and the Dark Knight shows up with his army, and it's the Dark Army or whatever the hell they're gonna call it, and he shows up to help, and it just becomes like a stalemate, and he's like, maybe him and Kal-El meet, and he's like, I will be king, and so now he is the rightful heir to that kingdom because his family was murdered. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So this should essentially Bruce Wayne is Jon Snow. And so you should be telling that story through multiple series or sequences of this. I don't think he should end up on the throne after these last 6 issues. I don't think that this story should end after these last 6 issues. I think it should be a sequel and it should continue because there's so many other characters that you can bring in and do more shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I mean, you can have a shitload of kingdoms too if you wanted to. But yeah, I'm curious on where they're gonna go because there's a lot of heavy hitters already shown. But like, if you want like Ivy to get a part of this, burn down one of the forests, and then she brings out her army. She's like, okay, you want to fuck around the forest? Let's go. And we
Well,
still don't even know what the hell's happening with the Joker.
yeah.
So, it'll be curious, but it's been good so far. The Joker thing is the only thing I really hated besides Bruce being a Kryptonian. But for the most part, it's been good, but this is where Tom Taylor starts really either going downhill or, we'll see because we're at the halfway point. So,
It could either go downhill or just land flat. Not
yeah.
necessarily bad all the way through,
True.
but there is no like highs or lows. It's just ongoing.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why I don't want to do a spin-off because what's the spin-off going to do? It's going to be like Red Hood and all these other people, or is Red Hood one of the kids? Like they're all Robins right now, right?
Yeah.
You know what could be interesting is if this does end at the end, like let's say Bruce Wayne's on the throne at the end of this, you do a time jump. So that means all the boys are older. And then they can be fighting for kingdoms or something like that. They can branch
Yeah.
out and do their own thing. Um because I wouldn't mind that. Like the Wayne family is trying to take the Seven Kingdoms back. You know, if you are doing Game of Thrones, because
Yeah.
then it's just like the Snow family. So I think, I mean, it's not Snow family. It's the fucking, I forget their names at the moment. Stark family. So yeah, I don't know. I'm enjoying this still. I was excited by it, but I want to see what's going to happen with Batman. You know, since he is now essentially the Superman role with the Kents, we're getting that story. That has to be the next issue. So I'm excited to see where that goes. But overall, decent comics. Well, I should say Justice League and whatchamacallit was a decent comment. I like
Yeah.
Detective, hated the backstory. And then Robin, I don't care about anything else Williamson is doing. Like, he got lucky that he made a decent Justice League story right now. But
Yeah.
other than that, he would have farted on 3 different things. Because is he writing Deathstroke? He's not writing Deathstroke, right?
Yes, he is.
Oh, okay, yeah, he would have had 3 farts, and then you're out at that point. So, but other than that, what do you got going on this week, Clay?
This week, well, cross your fingers. I think this may or may not be one of the last weeks that I'm here in this closet. I'm going to be
Nice.
moving into a different apartment, so cross my fingers there. But I am going to be talking about all the CinemaCon stuff on DC Alliance come Monday. That will include the Shazam stuff, the Black Adam stuff. So more information on that. We just did um, a free play review on the Lego Star Wars stuff over at Star Wars Alliance, and we talk about issue 2 of Godzilla versus Mighty Morphin Power Rangers on Ranger Alliance coming next week also. So go check those out.
Noise. I don't really have anything else to pimp out besides my YouTube channel. Come hang out on the Discord. The YouTube channel is definitely not for everybody, but that same YouTube channel that is not for everybody is where we live stream, and you guys can come chat with us. Some of you guys have been coming to the live stream and chatting, and I appreciate you guys being there. Always down to talk about whatever. Sometimes we just talk about life. Sometimes we talk about the old stuff and the new stuff. So definitely come hang out. But as always, ladies and gentlemen, he is Fanboy Clay. I am Juice Wayne, and remember, Batman is awesome.
News Weekly.